Have you heard the phrase before, some people are so poor, all they have is money? Let's talk about that on the Outlaw Pulpit, December 2nd, 2020. So that's a phrase I heard a long time ago, that some people are so poor, all they have is money. You see, let me back up a little bit. In the United States here, we just celebrated Thanksgiving. Now, this is my personal favorite holiday. I really do like Thanksgiving. We get together as family. This year was scaled down a little bit, but we get together with family. We eat. One of the traditions I grew up with was watching the Macy's Day Thanksgiving Parade, which is in New York City. And it's just a good day. There's nothing, no expectations. You just get together and eat and enjoy family, play games, all of that. This year was special for me because my dad, I asked him to make the turkey this year since we had it at our house. Now, my dad, it's been probably a decade since he did this, but he uses a recipe called the Simon and Garfunkel recipe. You use parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme, and you coat the turkey with that in olive oil, and you put it on the grill, and it takes about 4 hours, and it is delicious. Now, what's interesting, though, about Thanksgiving is that the very next day is Black Friday. Now, even with the COVID situation going on, places were full. People basically said, what COVID? What COVID? The TV's on sale. I got to get that. And we instantly go into this mode where we got to buy. And, it's crazy. It really is. True frugal people would understand that the closer you get to Christmas, the better the deals are, because honestly, they want to try to make up for all the lost time. Black Friday was the term given to it many, many years ago because it was the push for retailers to end the year in black in their books. So this got me thinking a little bit. People go out and there's expectations. Overall, there's a lot of expectations regarding Christmas presents and all this, but this does two different things. It gets people out there buying, things they may not even need. I was raised in a home where some things we didn't even ask for, but mom felt the need to make sure we had the same amount of gifts, my brother and I. And so you end up with things you absolutely love. You end up with socks and underwear. And there's some things you're like, I really didn't want this, and you don't even end up playing with it anymore, but to balance things out. Then there's the other side of it. It puts a big stress on people that are struggling to get by, okay? And that's where I want to hang out a little bit. Just because there's a lot of gifts under the tree doesn't mean a whole lot. What it does mean is that your kids are going to love you, and they're kids, okay? And they love gifts. It's just what they do, okay? Can't argue with that. I love gifts, and quite honestly, I get a little annoyed when I hear parents saying, we're not getting any gifts this year. We're going to do an experience. Really? Really? That's okay for some situations, but overall, it's a thing where kids love gifts. But it puts a lot of pressure on a person to live up to, especially those that don't have a whole lot of money. But I can prove to you, and I could show you that, quite honestly, those that don't necessarily have a lot of money are very rich people. One of the things that I preach regularly about is that you can be rich at any income level. Now, I'm not going to go into some talk about money and all of that. That's not what I'm here for. What I want you to grasp, though, is that even though funds may be a little tighter for you, or they're just not as much as your neighbor down the road, that's okay. It really is. For my brother and I, at Christmas time, yeah, we got some new gifts, but it wasn't many. And quite honestly, during the year, good shopping to us was when we got to go to the department store and shop the clearance racks, because most of our stuff was hand-me-downs from my cousin Keith. Now, you want to hear an interesting story? My last name is Adams. What comes to mind for those of you that are older? The Adams family. So my cousin Keith, his dad's name is Dan, and his last name is Fester. So yes, I do have a real Uncle Fester. That was a freebie in this recording. But here's the deal. The nation, people put others into classifications. Low class, poverty level, middle class, upper class, or what they would call white collar. So basically, to use just everyday language, poor people, blue collar, white collar. I would be considered a blue collar person. And what I've discovered is that you can be rich at any level. You really can. Some of the richest people I know may not have a lot of money, but they have it all together. Some of the poorest people I know have a house, but they don't have a home. I was raised in a situation where we didn't own a house. My dad was deathly afraid of owning a house. I don't know why, but he was, to this day, he will not own a house. He's always rented. And what's interesting about that is one time, my next door neighbor, my good friend, to this day, we met when we were 5 years old. Well, his parents owned a successful pizza chain in the Milwaukee area, okay, in Wisconsin. And he still does to this day. But his wife came over to our house to hang out with my mom and just chat over a cup of coffee at the kitchen table. And I will never forget when she said, you know, Donna, that was my mom, you know, Donna, we have a house. And they had a pool in ground. They had a hot tub. What great friends they have next door. But she goes, we have a house, but we don't have a home. This reiterates the point in this quote that I found that said, some people are so rich. Let me back up. Some people are so poor, all they have is money. If it takes everything within you and burns up all the hours you have in a day, and your Saturday and Sunday as well, in order to attain these things that you think make you feel like you've arrived, you're very poor, okay? If your kids are being neglected, like my friend next door, he never hardly saw his dad, but when he would ask his dad a question, his dad would give him a $20 bill. That was like unheard of back in the early 80s or late 70s. And I always thought, well, that'd be the coolest thing. But because that never happened. But it got to a point where my friend said, you know, I'm sick of this. I just want to hang out with my dad. And I totally remember that time. And it came to a point where he told his father, I just want to hang out with you. And it hit the father square between the eyes that his son didn't care about money. His son didn't care about material things. He wanted to go to the movies with his dad. And this was right around Christmas time. And to show my age a little bit, I remember that evening very well because I was sitting at home watching our black and white TV. Again, we didn't have a whole lot. In fact, the TV was a Hitachi, and it was a 13-inch for a family of 4, okay? And I remember getting the phone call. It was Mario saying, hey, my dad's taking me to the movies. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. You know, my dad would take us too once in a while. And then my friend goes, do you want to come with? And we ended up seeing A Christmas Story in the movie theaters. Remember Ralphie and Shoot Your Eye Out Kid, all that stuff. So that shows my age a little bit. But I just want to challenge you a little bit with that thought. That if you don't have a lot of money, it's okay. You might be the richest person anyone has ever met. Just because a wallet is padded, just because there's a lot in the checkbook, it doesn't mean a whole lot. Honestly, I'm not impressed. You see, in Wapaka here in Wisconsin, you can Google Earth that, Wapaka, Wisconsin. If you look just a little bit to the north, and I mean like within miles, and a little bit to the, well, I take that back, a little bit to the west, you're going to see a group of lakes. It's called the Chain of Lakes. And one of the things people love to do when they're out on the Chain of Lakes, either in a kayak or a boat, is to cruise all the lakes and look at the huge homes and all of that stuff. There's another lake 2 hours north of us called Lake Minocqua. And to be honest with you, I have a friend that lives up there, has a place up there, and they used to take us out on the pontoon all the time and go look at homes. And I remember one time, they were all oohing and ahhing over it, and they saw me on my phone. They're like, what's up, Bob? I go, I'm not impressed by this. I really am not. I kind of have my father's mentality, and I would look at a huge home and just say, I wouldn't want to pay to heat that place. Now, there's nothing wrong with having a lot of money. There really isn't, okay? The Bible does say that money is the root of all kinds of evil, but it doesn't say money is the root, okay? Some people that God has blessed, they are very good stewards of it, and they work with people, they help people, and they do really good things with it. But if you're at a high income level and you tend to look down on other people that don't have as much, you got a problem. You really got a problem. I had a friend that's no longer my friend. We parted ways. But he would look at everybody, and he was very, very well to do. And he would look at other people within our church, and when he would give them stuff, he would say, yeah, instead of saying I gave it to so-and-so, he said, yeah, I gave it to charity. I mean, what's wrong with a Christian's perspective when we start saying I gave it to charity? So check your heart. Let me look at a scripture here really quick. In James chapter 2, verse 5, it says, listen, my beloved brothers, has not God chosen those who are poor in the world to be rich in faith and heirs of the kingdom, which he has promised to those who love him? Really, what it comes down to is, how is your relationship with Christ? How is your heart? Where is your heart at? Because if it's saying, I have all of this and I have attained all of this and so whatever, you need to check your heart. But for those of us that are living within our means, we're doing the best we can, we have a job, we're being good stewards, I don't care what kind of money you're bringing in, you're one of the richest people I know. So just a little thought for you. I'm not going to do I'm your Huckleberry this week because, quite honestly, I don't have any questions to answer. But if you have a question for me, email it to me. The email address is right here on the screen, and I will address it in the next podcast next Wednesday. So I hope you have a fantastic week and know that you're loved. Have a great day.